of the storm. Winds up to 138 miles an hour are being reported in Charleston. The Weather Service expects the eye to pass over the Charleston area within the hour. Hugo is pushing a storm surge of more than 13 feet. Officials fear that it could cause severe flooding. Sheets of rain have been falling in Savannah, Georgia, to the south of Charleston. There have been some heavy winds near Savannah, but it now appears that the Georgia coast will be spared the worst of Hugo. In North Carolina, hundreds of thousands of people have fled the coast for safety inland. Forecasters say that the huge surge from Hugo could cause flooding far up the North Carolina coast. Karen McGinnis has been tracking the storm for us all afternoon. She has been on the phone to people in the Charleston area, including her own sister, who is frightened to death as we understand it. Karen, you might tell us what the latest is you have from the people in Charleston, and also explain a little bit about why it is that Jeff Flock in Savannah to the south is now feeling it easing up a little bit, while the north side of the storm is going to really have an impact. Karen?
Well, in fact, I have spoken with Dick Chanot with the National Weather Service there in Charleston. He said they're very concerned. He had his radar man watching the bands of the precipitation, the eye of the wall, start to move on shore with 138-mile-an-hour winds. And he mentioned to me that downtown Charleston, which is a low-lying city, I mean, doesn't have any elevation at all, that in fact downtown Charleston could see a storm surge, you hear us mentioning that a lot, of 10 to 12 feet. High tide in the Charleston Harbor is just around 2 o'clock in the morning. If we can be grateful for anything, we are grateful that the eye of this storm is not moved on shore at the time of high tide. But it looks like downtown Charleston, well, only the daylight hours will tell what will happen to that downtown city, a historical city, during the daylight hours. We'll have to see. This storm has a lot of forward speed associated with it. Here is our satellite loop since the beginning of the morning, and there you can see that perfectly formed eye to that storm. Hurricane packing 135-mile-an-hour winds, and 140 miles from the center, we are looking at hurricane force winds. But this storm is as large as the state of Georgia. The coordinates, well, this in fact is changing all the time. And as this storm gets closer and closer to the coast, it's going to be warbling a little bit, so you'll notice that those coordinates may jump around a little bit. 32.2 degrees north, 79.3 degrees west. It's moving towards the northwest at 22 miles an hour. Back out of the way so you can see just how immense this storm is. Everyone up and down the South Carolina coast has been evacuated. As Patrick said, I did speak with my sister. She said that the interior doors to her apartment are swinging open. We've got that intense area of low pressure, which may in fact be doing all of that. When I spoke with Dick Chanot, who's the National Weather Service chief meteorologist there, who I've known over the past several years, he says they're very concerned. I asked him if I could call him back. He said, we don't know if we'll have communication. What do we think that Hurricane Hugo will do? Crossing through central or the Midlands and through North Carolina, when it reaches this stage, we think that it will probably be downgraded to a tropical storm. But when it crosses that border between North Carolina and Virginia, we think it will still be of hurricane strength. We think that that will probably be just about 2 p.m., and that is on Friday afternoon. It's going to be a pretty devastating day there, and it looks like some of the tidal areas, you're looking at a storm surge there, possibly 6 feet, but in through Charleston, South Carolina, 10 to 12 feet. Patrick?
Karen, as the storm is moving in, maybe you could tell us from the eye, first of all, the diameter of the eye is what right now? We know that it's condensed as it wound up all afternoon.
At the last time that I checked it, Patrick, it was about 50 nautical miles wide. And as these things start spinning around, of course, you'll notice that eye is going to become elongated a little bit. It's not going to look quite as circular as it does when it approaches the coast, but it's going to start breaking apart a little bit. We will not begin to see a very clearly defined eye, but it was about 50 nautical miles the last time I checked.
Okay, Karen. In Charleston, South Carolina, where, of course, as you said, it's going to be very tough and starting to get that way, a fellow by the name of George Duke owns the Keg Lounge, which is down on the waterfront in Charleston. In fact, he rode out Hurricane Hazel. I believe that was in 1954. Since you're riding this one out, you rode out Hazel. Give us a comparison and give us a picture of what it's like there at the Keg Lounge tonight.
Okay, I think this is a little bit worse than Hazel. I think 70% of the city right now is without power. Where I'm at right now, one of the tin roofs has just blown off the building, and the building that I'm in, which is a brick building 3 stories high, part of the bricks has already fallen into the middle of the old part of the city, which is called the Peninsula City. And the water is starting to rise.
Now, is this the area that's down along the...
That's along the Battery area, which is about 10 blocks from the Battery, which is a high area, water level.
Are you pretty much by yourself, or have you got company in the keg lounge tonight?
I got my sister, who's up in age, and her friend, and about 2 other people staying there with me.
Why didn't you leave? This is a powerful storm.
Yes, it's very powerful. My wife and son had left, and they went to Georgia. I got a son that's a police officer, has to work through this, and the son that works for the city with traffic and transportation, he has to work. So I figured I may as well stay too. I
see. Have you seen many other people other than your immediate family? Have you seen
right now? This part of the city, like I said, it's the old part of the city. Is normally a busy part. It's been a ghost town all day. It's been like a graveyard.
Okay, and you mentioned that some roofs have blown off not far from you, and that
the roof right next door is a tin roof. The entire roof is sitting in the middle of the Peninsula City of King Street. And the 3rd floor of my building, half the bricks on the 3rd floor is in the middle of King Street.
Half the bricks on the top floor are in the street?
Yes.
All right. Okay, George Duke, who is sticking it out at the Keg Lounge on the waterfront in Charleston, South Carolina, rode out Hazel in 1954, says this one is worse. We'll continue with our coverage of Hurricane Hugo right after this.
Yeah, they totally wiped out Sunny Isles. We're going to get totally wiped out Sunny Isles.
I'm Karen McGinnis, and on the line we have Dr. Dick Chanot. He's with the National Weather Service in Charleston, South Carolina. He's the chief meteorologist. Hello, Dick. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Can you describe the situation there in Charleston right now? It looks like you're in line for a direct hit with Hurricane Hugo.
Absolutely. The eye of Hurricane Hugo is approaching the Charleston harbor at this time, pushing in front of it a very strong eye wall of very high winds into the Charleston city proper. We're already getting winds well over hurricane force here at the weather office, and we do expect winds over 100 miles per hour within the hour.
Downtown Charleston is one of the lowest lying cities on the eastern seaboard. During the daylight hours, what should we expect for the Charleston Peninsula?
Well, I think when that hurricane comes through, I think it'll produce a 12 to 15-foot storm surge in the downtown area of Charleston.
A lot of people have asked us, what about the coastal cities to the south of Charleston and to the north? I know Myrtle Beach was preparing. They really thought that they were going to be the direct hit for the storm. So up to the northwest of Charleston and along the southern coast, what should they expect?
Well, it's very difficult to hear you, Karen. The roof of this building is tearing apart, but I get just what the Myrtle Beach area, I think, will be pretty well spared. They will have some storm surge, but we're going to have the highest storm surge here from Charleston up to Georgetown, possibly to Murrells Inlet, which includes many low-lying coastal cities like Garden City and Surfside areas. On the lower coast, however, most of the winds will be offshore, so there'll be very little storm surge, but there ought to be a lot of wind damage.
Dick, I have one more question for you. I know you've got a lot to do there, and you said that the roof didn't sound very good where you were. But for those people who stayed, I know that you have a campaign there in Charleston to let people know about storm surge and let them know about evacuation. What can we tell people about a storm that did what it did to the Caribbean islands and now what it's doing to Charleston?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's really a shame that people won't heed the warning when it costs so little to prepare and develop your own plans.
We wish you good luck there, Dick. You're doing a great job, and thank you for our conversations earlier tonight. We appreciate the job that you're doing. Also, the National Hurricane Center in Miami and all of our reporters out in the field are doing a terrific job. And now we throw it back to Patrick Emery.
Karen, thanks. And our CNN special report on Hurricane Hugo continues in a moment.